Access provided by PlayStation. Alright, Helldivers 2 is the most dive-like game I've played since Dave the Diver. It just so happens to be 73% more about splattering alien bugs though. So to ensure you're a quality teammate out there or hoping to try to survive solo, here are some important Helldiver tips you need to be aware of. I'm Alex, and let's dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dive right into this. And hit subscribe if you're new here. First, magazine-loaded weapons are actually slower to reload when they're fully empty, but faster if they have at least one round left in them. This also applies to those big, time-consuming machine guns as well. If you do reload with rounds still in the magazine, your total ammo count will actually go 1 over its normal capacity. Hold the reload button to see your exact ammo count, by the way. If you time your reload with 1 bullet left, you won't be wasting any leftover ammo and get that faster reload timing. That familiarity with your weapon might just be the deciding factor between resounding victory and shameful evisceration. Another thing to know about that menu when you hold down the reload button is that you can change things on your weapon, like fire rate, zoom level, or the flashlight. However, on the machine guns, you can change their fire rate to a slower or faster RPM. So with one button to turn up the RPM, you just instantly increased your outgoing DPS. Personally, when I switch to a beefy gun like this, that means I just want the things I'm pointing it at to not be alive anymore. So I usually like to turn up the RPM as soon as I equip these. While you're out on a mission, you'll want to keep an eye out for these artillery installations. Interact with its terminal, and you'll get a secondary objective to load in artillery shells. There's going to be different types scattered around nearby, but you'll want to seek out the yellow ones that say Mini Nuke. Whichever sequence of shells is loaded in here will then be fired from right to left when you call in this special artillery strike that's now been added to your list. The Mini Nuke is definitely the most potent option and inflicts maximum liberation to anything you fire it at. Wrong game. Now back at that artillery loader, you'll move really slowly when you're carrying these huge shells around. Instead, try doing this. If you let go of something you're holding and sprint about 2 steps forward and re-grab it, you can halo flag the things around a bit faster. You can also do something similar with the explosive barrels you can lug around. Instead of dropping it, you can throw these at about a 45-degree angle upward and then re-grab it to move them around. The built-in physics can then kinda bonk it off your head if you're lucky, so bonus points for the longest you can balance one of these on your nose, like that thing that SEALs do. Not the Navy ones, the animal ones. The weapons listed as one-handed, like sidearms and submachine guns, have one benefit of being able to shoot while carrying some things around. But the other benefit of a one-handed weapon is that you can move and shoot from the hip without limiting your normal movement speed. With two-handed weapons, you kind of halt, turn completely around, and enter a firing stance, so one-handed is definitely faster. If you want to know exactly where you're aiming from the hip at all times, you can go into the HUD settings and turn reticle visibility from dynamic to visible. Then, when you're heroically running away, you can still be landing some well-placed shots. Now, did you know that you can use your healing stims on your teammates? Well, if someone's health gets under about 50%, you'll see a prompt pop up on them that will let you apply a stim. You could even purposely injure a teammate to the point to where you can use a stim to fully top off their health. You're welcome. Speaking of stims, those don't just rapidly refill your health. They also quickly replenish your stamina gauge and super boost it for a few seconds so that it doesn't deplete. So when you're heroically fleeing again, you can pop a stim right before your stamina fully depletes to extend how long you can sprint. Now I hate to be the one to tell you guys this, but you're gonna be dead at some point. When you come back though, you better make it count with a spectacular splat. The redeployment pods inflict huge damage where they land, so try to wiggle your descent right into an enemy elite to make up for your previous failure. Also, if someone marks a high threat target, that makes it easier to know where to point that death shuttle. Since we're already talking about big elite enemies, these armored chargers can be stunned if you get them to run into something. Usually there's going to be some kind of a rock formation around you can use to protect yourself. Take advantage of that moment to go behind them and shoot them in the butt, or use some explosives while they're stunned. Now, before you yoink that resupply, check if your heavy weapon has a partially empty magazine. Reload it beforehand so that you have at least one open magazine slot before you resupply. Otherwise, you could be missing out on hundreds of bullets when you resupply something like a big machine gun. I also like to use the supply backpack that lets you restock your teammates. This is also an easy way to get many more uses out of your heavy weapon, since you can use that extra ammo on your own backpack. And the supply pack charges can be fully restocked if you selfishly take all 4 cases from a supply drop. If you're about to head off into a defend the area mission, those maps are incredibly small compared to the others. These are the perfect time to bust out a heavy armor set if you have one, because they trade slower movement and stamina regen for increased armor. Defend missions are more about holding out and surviving, so the slower movement is barely even a factor here. And last, a real quick one for you. You can pick up enemy grenades that are thrown at you to get them out of the way, or you can toss them right back at them. This also applies to your team's grenades, so look out for that prompt to get those things away from your toes. Alright, hopefully those are useful to a few divers out there, and this is really only scratching the surface of all the stuff you can do in this. I appreciate that Helldivers doesn't hold your hand too much, if at all, and requires your full concentration or your team will get stomped. From my experience, the player base so far has been really solid, kinda reminding me of the abnormally useful teammates you would find lurking around the lobbies of a Monster Hunter or like a Souls game. High jolly cooperation vibes here. But let me know what you guys think of Helldivers 2, and if you played the first game or just went into this completely fresh. Also, if you have any direct questions about the game, shoot them over to me on Twitter X at BoomstickAlex. Thanks for checking this out today, thanks to PlayStation for shooting me a code, and I'll see you probably pretty soon in the next one.
Join the Helldivers. Become part of an elite peacekeeping force. See exotic new life forms. And spread managed democracy throughout the galaxy. Become a hero. Become a legend. Become a Helldiver.